Walk, talk, act like the rest of us.
We the architects of rhythm, blueprint in the sound. Every nation on the planet wanna copy what we found. From the field to the court, from the mic to the stage. FBA been the book, they just reading the page. They biting our slang, remixing our drip. Speed up, culture so heavy, got the world doing flips. We the soil, we the root, they the branches at best. If America's a body, then we heart in the chest. Head libs in the church, 808s in the streets. We turn struggle into hustle, made the bitter sound sweet. From the drum line and war to the snare and the beat. Our ancestors walk with us, every step, every feet. Every chain that they forged, we remixed in the gold. Took the pain, made it flame. Now
Just send out invites, y'all. We about to get started. If y'all watching Tariq live, too dangerous. Act like the rest of us.
We the base, we the base, we the foundation. From the Negro spirituals to modern day vibrations. We the style, we the swag, we the walk with the lean. Whole world studying us like a college routine. From the cotton to the culture, from the chain to the chain. Ice on the wrist, now they copy the name. We the sermon.
I'll do a town hall, y'all. Let's do it.
Every bar got a scar, but we make it divine. Who taught the world soul? Who gave it that back? Who made pain sound good? Who flipped struggle to cash? We did. They steal the dance. It's hard to mix the slang, but can't steal the spirit that's born in the pain. Our story ain't a chorus, it's a whole symphony. Melanin melody, infinite energy. We the drumline of history, the trumpet of change. Every note that we play rearranges the game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't really wanna mess with us.
FBA be too dangerous.
Say what? You don't really wanna mess with us. Walk, talk, act like the rest of us. You don't really wanna mess with us. FBA be too dangerous. Stand tall. You don't really wanna mess with us. Walk, talk, act like the rest of us. We the gospel in the grit, we the hood in the hymn. From
Come
the
on.
gin sparks to the light that don't dim. We the great big father, we the jasmine's child, we the soul of the struggle. Turn the pain into style. See the cadence that's black line, the vision that's flame. FBA in the roots, you gon' remember the name. Global trendsetters, whole world in our stance. Even Paris got the swagger when we taught them to dance. From the march on DC to the march in the club. From the fist in the sky to the bass in the sub. They can imitate the look, they can copy the tone, but they can't fake the soul. That's God-given home. Nah, cities, the TikToks, they follow the wave. We the leaders, they the students, every culture we pave. So salute to the ancestors, the past and the present. We the gift to the globe. FBA is the essence. Stand up.
You don't really want to mess with us. Y'all share the live, get the likes up. Mess with us. FBA be too dangerous. You don't really want to mess with us. Walk, talk, act like the rest of us.
You don't really wanna mess with us.
Come on, y'all. We about to get into it. You don't really want to mess with us. You don't really want to mess with us. FBA be so dangerous. Come on. What's up, family? Hopefully you guys can hear me. We about to get started in just a minute. Hopefully our mayoral candidate shows up. He might have some other things going on. I know we plan this a week in advance. And, you know, to me, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. That's all, you know. I set this up 100% for our mayoral candidate, Laverne Turner. He's one of the gentlemen that came into our Telegram. And he explained that he had a heart for the black people and he wanted to do something good for his city. And I said, okay, man, we'll host a town hall, man. Come talk to the people. I encourage this brother that he needs to bring his campaign onto TikTok and, use the power of social media. And he was rocking with me. He's rocking with the coin that we're making specifically for the lineage for foundational Black Americans. He brought in his crypto guy. We talked to his crypto guy, and it went where it went. And he's excited. He wants to start, bring a smart city to Minneapolis, and I think it's worthy. So I said, hey man, listen. I'm not from his district. I'm in California. I'm not in Minneapolis. But I said, listen, I'll host you on my platform. I actually tried to get him on Tariq's platform. Tariq just closed his live down. Fantastic live. Just chopping it up. How he does it. He doesn't need a topic. He just kind of just lets it flow in his room. And a lot of people were in that room, so it's going to be very difficult to join. What's good, Dr. No Job? What's up with you, brother? We hosting a town hall. I'm gonna bring some people up here in a minute, man. We're just gonna bring some people up. I'm actually waiting on. I don't know, Monique, if you want to reach out to him, let him know that we're still on. We ain't changed, So if he shows up, we'll host him. We'll chop it up with him. I know he was in Tariq's live because I told him to show up in Tariq's live, and he told me he was in there. So he probably didn't get a chance to speak. Tariq didn't bring him up. But here's one thing you gotta understand. Listen, nobody owes you anything. Okay, you gotta earn the respect and the trust of the people. We got a lot of misinformation and mistrust in our community that we have to combat. So if you think you're bigger than the people because of a position, you can't be like that with our people. Our people need to see that you are a servant leader and that you're taking them seriously. I know you want to respect your time, but our people also need to know that you're respecting their time. So, this is an opportunity for the brother to come up here and say his views for his city. Because let me tell you what I know about FBA. We want all FBA cities to thrive. If we got black people in that city, we want someone that represents us. And if you're claiming you're a foundational Black American candidate, well, talk to FBA people. And one thing I do know, if you are a person standing on business and you're worthy of trust and you have some good scholarship and we believe that you're going to work for us, it don't matter what city you in. We just want to see a black city thrive. And so even me in California, I'm going to support you. And FBAs all over are going to support you because, hey, man, that's a chance for one of us to get into a city and make a difference for our people. And you might even find people because you are a mayoral candidate there and you're an FBA mayoral candidate that they might be willing to move and travel over and move to that district. You see what I'm saying? Because, we want righteous. We want representation. We want righteous people in leadership, and that's pretty much what it's all about. So I don't know, Monique, if you can get a hold of him, let him know that we're on live. We're waiting for him. That's another thing, man. Our people we like our leaders to be prompt. We don't like our leaders to be late, and I'm not going to hold against them. Maybe got some things going on in the background. Things do come up in the last minute, so I'm going to give them that way out. But we set this up for a mayoral candidate who's running in Minneapolis, and some of y'all may know the trials and tribulations they got going on out there. They're not necessarily happy with their current mayor, right? They're looking for change. Minneapolis is looking for change, right? Let me bring up Monique. She's from she's from that area, Minnesota, Minneapolis. What's good, Monique?
Hey, he should be coming in.
Perfect. Let's get this thing started. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I told him we're go. We're go. We're not, we're gonna run the FBA. I got questions prepared, even outside of what you prepared, and you're from there. And this is our opportunity just to get to know a little bit about the candidate, who he is, what he represents, what he stands for, and again, first impression. You got to come representing your people. Our people don't like our time wasted, just like nobody wants their time wasted. So, we expect promptness. So I'm here, family. I'm here for y'all. I run these lives, I really sincerely care about our people and care about our lineage, and I want the best for us. If y'all don't know, we have an FBA coin. That's it's done, family. We're seeding the LP right now. We're doing some amazing things. If you're part of our Telegram, you know what we're doing. Let me bring up the mayoral candidate right here. This is our brother Laverne Turner. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing, sir?
Doing very good. I saw you over there, and you was in Tariq Live, man. What do you think about our brother Tariq, man?
Oh, I like him. I chimed in right at the right moment just to really get the chance to really understand what he about. And if I would have had a chance to speak, I would have told him that. I like him right off the bat. The first 3 minutes I was listening, I was like, this is my kind of dude.
There you go. I like to hear that. And yeah, man, listen, man. Here's one thing. I'm in California. Here's one thing I think not just Tariq, all of FBA are looking for people to represent us, represent the grassroots. And if you're 100% serious about representing our people and us, Tariq will put you on, brother. Tariq will, Tariq is an activist. He travels not from just different cities talking about reparations. He has movies that bring scholarship to our people and very entertaining, as well as the scholarship that comes with it. Microphone Check was a movie, was a documentary that was much needed, that he did about the founding of hip hop, where hip hop originated from, and how it came from a certain people and not from these cosplayers that try to co-opt it and take it over today. So,
of course,
he seems like he's on TikTok. He seems like he's on TikTok. So if anytime he's on, I would say make sure you try to get on and try to be early and get your space up there and talk to him, because he's a real person. He's a real dude. So, but let's get started, man. Let me just reset the room here. Family, for the next 2 hours, we're going to be interviewing our mayoral candidate from Minneapolis. No question is a bad question. We just ask that, you keep, if you troll, it's open season. So I probably would say treat this seriously. Do not come with your trolling. But this is a mayoral candidate. He's going to stand on business for what he believes for and what he wants to do and change in his district. He's a family man. He's part of that community. He's a reputable man in that community. So I want to introduce you guys a good friend of mine. He's part of our Telegram, and he's out in Minneapolis, standing on Foundation of Black American Business. Laverne Turner. Go ahead, Laverne. Introduce yourself.
Thank you for the introduction, bro. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Laverne Turner, and I'm running for Minneapolis mayor, and I'm a lifelong resident of Minneapolis. And I know this is sort of a nationwide audience, but I'm pretty sure that what's going on in Minneapolis, most people have some understanding or knowledge of sort of the political environment here on the ground in Minneapolis. If I throw out the name 𝗔𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝘀, I'm pretty sure that might ring some bells. If I mention things like feeding our future a fraud scandal, I'm pretty sure that might, people might recognize those things. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because here in Minneapolis, and the reason why I'm so happy and excited that I was introduced to the FBA movement is because, especially here in Minneapolis, we have a lot of Black activists in the Black activist class, some elected officials, and sort of clergy leaders in the community, but they all subscribe to the damaging policies of the progressive left and the Democratic Party and the DSA faction of the party, which means Democratic Socialists for those who don't know what DSA stands for. And I'm the only candidate, only political activist in Minneapolis who's standing on the principle of supporting policies and narratives in an agenda that is primarily focused, not even primarily, is focused on the foundational Black American. Because here in Minneapolis, 𝗔𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝘀𝘁, a Somali state senator who's running for mayor, who's involved in the feed and food scandal and some other scandals here in Minneapolis. He's the type of person that, you know, is one of those politicians that's trying to link themselves to the Black struggle and the Black culture so that the Somalis can benefit from our plight, but we don't ever get anything in return. And, you know, so we got the Somali candidate, and then we also got the sellout Black activist class who does everything they can to support any policy that really hurts a foundational Black American citizen. So my candidacy is sort of like the vanguard. I'm on the forefront. I'm on the front line of not just challenging sort of a white dominated city or country or society. I'm also fighting the Black sellouts in the community, pandering policies that hurt our community. So I'm glad I found sort of, I guess, a political support system for what I believe in and how I want to represent and take care of the foundational Black American needs, wants, and agenda. So I appreciate this even existing. I appreciate you having me on. And, you know, I hope, may I say, and I'm not saying this to be critical. Please don't take this as being critical. I love FBA so much. I want to advocate, promote, solicit the movement that we need to get more organized as a political organization so we can really, really start spreading the message about FBA and taking a stand in society and stop these various people of color ethnicities trying to piggyback on our plight, our culture. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm done with that, and I hope I just want to encourage people to think about that. That we need to really get organized, develop a charter, put together a board, fill out the 501c3 political activist nonprofit status. We gotta get to it, and that's how excited I am about this movement.
I love it. Listen, man, everybody feel free. If you gift the mayoral candidate, please gift the mayoral candidate. I'm really excited to hear, excited what he's saying right now. But before we get into the interviewing and the questioning, tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing. Why did you want to get into politics? What made you want to represent your city?
Excellent question. I appreciate that question. And when I tell people this, some people don't believe it, but it's the absolute truth. Even as a young child, 7, 8, 19 years old, I've always been interested in governance, policy. Since I was 8 years old, I've watched every Republican, Democrat, national convention, debate, presidential debate, since I was 8 years old. I watched the Ollie North trials in full on TV. I watched live when the Berlin Wall came down. I've always been interested in that. And then by the time I got to college, when you hit college, you're exposed to more. So I got more interested in community service and all the things I was doing on the college level in the community. And then when I left college and came home, looking for work, looking for work in my spare time, I joined the Independence Party in Minnesota. And I ran for office the first time when I was like 22, 23 years old. I ran for state senate, not to really win, but just to, learn the process, learn what it's like to be a candidate, learn the nuances of the political game in the industry. So I've been a student of the political environment for over 30 years. So I'm not just a new time candidate. I'm a veteran. I know how to do what I'm doing. I'm a top tier candidate in this race, even though I've raised very little money. compared to the incumbent who's raised $3 million. I'm still in the hunt. I'm still in the thick of it. And in these last 3 weeks, I'm just trying to, do what I can, keep my grassroots strategy going on the ground, and work hard to the finish line. But I've always been interested. I love history. I'm sort of a historian. And professionally, in 2003, I created a nonprofit where I mentored inner city youth through community athletics. So, I've had football teams, soccer teams, basketball teams over the years. And youth is a passion of mine, and the youth is my top 3 priorities. And reinvesting in Minneapolis youth, because I feel like the current leadership in the city, they really don't respect families. They've forgotten about our children. They're not investing in our children, and I plan to reinvest in Minneapolis youth. So to answer your question, I've always been sort of a civic-minded individual, and politics and have always been an interest and a draw to me. And that's the long and short of it.
Okay, that's good. So, your lived experience as a Black resident in Minneapolis, right? How does that shape your understanding of the systematic challenges facing foundational Black Americans in that city?
Another excellent question, because I did grow up in Minneapolis, and back in my day, there weren't Somalis and illegal immigrants, illegal Mexican immigrants. It's pretty much black and white, maybe a handful of natives, and maybe a couple here and there, some type of Hispanic person. So pretty much my growing up in Minneapolis in the 80s and 90s was pretty much black and white. And growing up, and I grew up poor. I was on social services, we were on welfare most of my childhood. And so basically I had that sort of that expected mentality that all Black people are poor and we're all oppressed and blah, blah, blah. But when I graduated from high school, I went to St. Mary's University in Winona, Minnesota, rural town, beautiful campus. I loved it there. But at that time in my life, in that time in 1990, early 90s, that reintroduction and enthusiasm to the sort of the Afrocentric rebirth in America through hip hop and the Malcolm X movie with Spike Lee and all that kind of stuff, A Different World, the TV show, drove me to want to go to a HBCU. So I transferred to Morris Brown College in Atlanta, part of the AUC university system. And when I moved to Atlanta, it was sort of like an awakening for me, because I'd never seen so many Black people in my life. I've never seen so many prominent, professional, successful, wealthy Black people in my life. I thought rich Black people were just on TV. So it kind of made me have to rethink, things on a different level. So coming back home to Minneapolis after college and seeing sort of the polar opposite of just a handful of prominent Black people in Minneapolis, just a handful of successful Black people in Minneapolis, made me realize that, and then getting involved in politics and sort of the governing class of Minneapolis, and meeting these more affluent Black people, their attitude was more like gatekeepers and make themselves feel special enough they're different from the rest of us, so they can keep their status and clout and potential increase in profit earnings by kind of, I would say, pimping out the Black community and our plight. And I didn't really see that in Atlanta. And so that's why I'm so excited about the FBA, because we have Black people here, but the Black people here are just using our own people to enrich their pockets, and our communities are suffering more and more every year, every election cycle, year after year, and I want to put a stop to that.
That's good. So My next question, and I'm gonna let Monique ask you some questions because she's actually from Minneapolis, from your district. But what does restoring pride in Minneapolis look like for those neighborhoods hardest hit by decline, unrest, disinvestment? How will you bring tangible improvement to those communities?
That's a multi-layered answer.
Okay. Tackle it
But
one at a
first,
time. If it's if it's just tackle it one at a time. How I
no,
guess
I
my
can't.
question is, how will you bring tangible improvements to the communities that you came from based on what you're seeing and what you've experienced?
First of all, it's about messaging. Okay, you being the mayor, being a public figure, being someone that's run a nonprofit for 20 years, it's about messaging. And the messages that we get right now for our political leaders is that, of course, we're victims, but when people who are profiting from saying that you're victims is an insincere and disingenuous gesture. I want to be able to tell, because as a matter of fact, just to give you an example, on the 23rd of this month, I'm going to be doing a event at a nonprofit called Appetite for Change that's run by a young black queen named Princess Titus. And what she does is urban farming. And she has youth come in to learn about urban farming. On a certain day, they have a community meal where the kids they prepare the food that they grew and make a full course meal. So I'm going to be addressing those youth at their next meeting on the 23rd, not to lecture them or preach at them about my campaign or tell them what to do with their lives in the future. I want to celebrate these youth's decision to be a part of something positive in the community, and instead of spending that time doing something extremely unproductive in the community. So to me, it's all about leadership. It's about messaging. It's about changing the discussion about our youth, about our state, about what we can accomplish. And I'm only saying this because here in Minneapolis, we still have such a, I would say, slave mentality where everything that we think we can get, we have to beg the white politicians for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to plant those seeds to these young people that you don't have to think like that. You don't have to, that doesn't have to be your reality. The social norm or the messaging to our kids is that you'll never be anything because the white man's going to hold you down, or the system's rigged against you. I don't want to promote that type of message. So I'm a father. I got 3 sons. I would never tell my kids, man, you might as well not even try because the world's going to fuck you over and you'll never be able to accomplish anything. We need to start sending better messages to our youth, being a better example, being more encouraging, being an example to inspire other adults and parents to share that same message with their children. I mean, so I said there's layers to the solution, but then of course there's economic wise. I got a whole economic development plan that involves urban farming. That's gonna allow a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs in Minneapolis or North Minneapolis in general to be able to. I'm going to be able to help them, get them in front of lenders, investors, to help them, achieve their dreams as an entrepreneur. And I'm developing a whole ecosystem of sort of an economic support system to make sure that I'm going the extra mile to help my people who want to be businessmen reach that goal. Education wise, I mean, there's so many layers to that question, but basically what I'm saying is for Minneapolis, we need a better example of leadership and a better message coming from our leadership as Black people.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and then I'm going to pass it on to some of the people on our panel here. 2 questions. Do you have a vision for Minneapolis, and what is that vision?
Well, my vision for Minneapolis is, of course, everybody wants a safe, prosperous place to raise a family and live. And currently, we don't have that in Minneapolis. So we have to restore a sense of law and order, and that goes everything from violent crime or assaults or break-ins and stolen cars to all the corruption that's going on in city government. Our current mayor has 2 of his aides indicted in the Feeding Our Future scandal, and the media and no one else will even mention that on the campaign trail.
Wow.
The Somali candidate Omar Fateh is involved in at least 4 of the fraud scandals that's rocking the state of Minnesota, and no one will say anything. Wow. So I mean, first we gotta restore our law and order, and that don't always mean just street crime. That's political white collar crime as well.
I like that. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna open up to the people. We have 3 people here on the panel. I'm sure they want to ask you some questions, and this is the time that you just be yourself. None of this is to attack you, but people are just trying to understand what your campaign is about and what you're going to do for Minnesota. So I'll start with Monique. Monique has some questions that she would like to ask about Minneapolis and what you're going to bring changes to. So go ahead, Monique.
Oh, hey, Vern. I just want to let everybody know in the chat that we do have a common we know each other from school, so some things may seem a little friendly. That's why we grew up in the same high school, going to the same high school. So welcome to the panel, Laverne.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you were able to come. So I did have a lot of questions regarding plans with the economy changing, because we're working on the currency, the coin now, things about implementing cryptocurrency in the city, and then helping with financial literacy, home ownership, and things like that, and in the historical Black neighborhoods, like in off the Broadway, Glendale area. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on your plans with that. I know you mentioned urban farming in that area, and just give us a little bit more info on that, and also helping with the blight and the housing over there, and some other things that's going on in that neighborhood.
Yeah, if we're talking FBA Black American agenda that I have, that's a part of my overall agenda. We're talking that specifically. I'm about creating generational wealth for the Black community, and the way we do that is a few ways, but we'll start with the basics. You talked about housing and homes of that nature. My plan entitled it calls for me to advocate and reinstitute things that help working Black Americans a better chance of home ownership, which is pretty much the foundation of creating generational wealth. And the way I want to do that is bring in the concept of like rent to own. Make that more popular, make that more of a mainstream avenue, that where people who work and can pay, they can rent to own, have that option. I want to bring that, and also along with that, I have a, and this is not just a campaign platform issue. I'm as a citizen, that's what I do, for business in the community. I have my own consulting company. I'm trying to reinstitute sort of the IDA, the old IDA concept, individual development account, where if people want to save something, they have a double or triple match to what they save on a monthly basis, and that type of saving, that type of financial literacy and behaviors can help them as far as putting the money down for a down payment for a home, investing in whatever entrepreneurial or business venture they want to invest in, or reinvest in their education. But it'll all play into my plan to make generational wealth mechanisms way more accessible for the Black community to participate in and give them a better chance to live the American dream. And then also and since we're going into the 21st century, we're talking digital currency and the idea, the concept of pretty soon the physical dollar won't exist. All currency will be some type of digital currency. And, when we was in college, back in the, early 90s, mid 90s, and we're talking about all the conspiracy theories about, someday there won't be no dollar and it's going to be this and that. And all that talk in the college dorm room, smoking little trees with your friends was now about to be reality in a year or two. And I want to make sure that the Black community doesn't get left behind in this jump to the new digital currency for the 21st century. So I'm going to have policies and mechanisms in place by support, i.e. example, by supporting the FBA coin and, and a lot of other things, but bringing that to the community so they're aware of it and make it, something that they understand that they need to participate in, because we're entering a new world. And I don't want people to be left behind. So quickly, that's sort of, I hope I answered that question.
Okay, just real quick, we have a question from the chat, and then I'm going to swing it back over to Monique. But one of the questions from the chat was, what are some of the complaints of discrimination from the indigenous people there, from the Somalis? I'm thinking she means either she means the people that actually come from Minnesota or who are not foreigners versus Somalis being hopefully she can help me clear that up. But she's asking about what is the complaints of the discrimination from the people there from the Somalis.
When you say, well, let me say this. When you say indigenous people here in Minnesota, you're talking about Native Americans. So are you talking about Native Americans? Because I don't know what you mean by indigenous people. I don't understand.
She's talking about the Black people that's there.
Yeah, I think she's talking about the Black people. What are some of the complaints of the discrimination from the Black people and they're from the Somalis? What are some of the complaints between the two groups? I think that what she does. If you can restate that, she's talking about the Black. Okay.
I think I can address it. I think I can answer the question now.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, the Black community and the Somali community are semi-integrated to a degree, but it's not. If we're talking about immigrant-wise, there are a lot of Black people who are resentful that Somalis are here and they have preferential treatment when it comes to grants, loans, public housing. I mean, the Somali community economy, they've pretty much just taken over Minneapolis, and then from the illegal immigrant perspective with the Hispanics or whatever, of course there's resentment there because they're getting preferential treatment because they're immigrants and they're being afforded more privileges and freedoms than American citizens do, and they're also getting all the social services, and they go to our schools. They're making our schools English as a second language, and our kids don't get the education that they deserve because the school district gets more money because of the kids who can't speak English, right? So, we're very disappointed. The common people, the regular people that I represent, are very disappointed with the Black leadership that we have in Minneapolis right now because they support all these things I just mentioned. That hurts our community. So the FBA people in Minneapolis, we feel like we're just getting dumped on, stepped on, ignored, taken for granted, neglected. But there's no one that's actually advocating and standing up for the FBA people in Minneapolis except for me. except for me. There's, I hate to get in specifics because I know you're not from Minneapolis, but I'm gonna try to make it a little sense. The more dominated black communities in Minneapolis are the 4th and 5th wards that are north of Minneapolis. The two black candidates that's running for city council in my ward, which is number 4, the 4th ward, they both support the protection and defending illegal immigrants from being deported. They support the programs that pay for these people's housing out of social services, out of public money. In the 5th ward, the 5 black candidates in the 5th ward all support the same thing. So the black people that support me and feel like me, that, hey, we're tired of getting taken advantage of, we're tired of being neglected, we want to stand up for what's good for just black people in general without these other people of color ethnicities trying to say they're like us, reaping all the benefits, and we get nothing. So that's the situation on the ground here.
Okay. I'm gonna swing it back to Monique, but Ken, did he answer your question?
Yes. Good evening to the panel and to you, Mr. Turner. Thank you for being here. And I want to thank Crypto because I sent him the live and he came in. He absolutely answered my question. I had like 3 and 2 were kind of folded into each other because one was about the discrimination, because I've heard complaints. I've heard news stories where there were some young mothers who tried to take their children to some Somali daycares and they were denied services because those slots were only being given out to Somalis. And there was
That's how they do. That's how they do. They don't take care of their own.
right, which is not okay in our communities, right? So I wanted to know about that. And then also I was asking you what were some of the effects that you saw since the influx of these Somalis, but you did touch on that very eloquently. And then I think for the last question, and I know we have to go back to Miss Monique, is just ultimately, I know you will discuss, what can we throughout the American diaspora, the Black Americans, the Indigenous, the American Indians, FBA, because, we have several different Sulan. What can we do to help get your message out and help mobilize the people in your community and bring awareness? Because you did say something very important, that unfortunately we do have disenfranchisement in those communities you spoke of, and people don't necessarily understand maybe what's happening or even understand the power in their vote, et cetera, et cetera. So those were my questions. And again, I just want to thank you for what you're doing. That you have taken up the mantle and you're standing in the gap and you see the need. I saw there's something on here called Baddies for Omar, which is just a bunch of Somali women. And then there's a representative, I can't remember her name, but she's very popular. She's pushing for him. And I was very alarmed and I'm very concerned for people if he gets that seat.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of I didn't hear the very end of that. You kind of cut off, but
very concerned for our people there, our Black people there, if this man gets that seat.
a lot of people are. I mean, a lot of people are, and I'll be honest with you. Until Omar Fateh got the DFL endorsement, my campaign was kind of stagnant. But when people realized that this Somali got the endorsement, the reason why that's significant is because here in Minneapolis, if you get the DFL endorsement, you're pretty much guaranteed the win, right? So when he got the endorsement, that lit a fire under the ass of a lot of people who was like, no, we can't let this happen. White, Black, Democrat, rich, poor, and I happen to be one of the candidates that the electorate are looking at instead of Fateh. But the threat that he might win was pretty much got Minneapolis city politics in chaos right now. So, and it's wide open because nobody wants Fateh. So, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Of course, he's got support, but there's a lot more that don't want him. So, that's been a key factor in this race is him getting that endorsement. But I'm not a Democrat and I'm an independent, so I don't really play their their inner politic game. I just know that him getting the endorsement has helped my campaign. When I door knock in the hood, when I talk to black people, they're like, yo, you running against that Somali guy, right? I'm like, yes. Good. Thank you. You got my vote. If that answers your question.
Yeah, that absolutely answers, and it's amazing to hear that people are on code. And I'll do what I can. I'm on New York, New Jersey side of the world, but I will push the message on social media. I'll put your information out. I'll do what I can to help mobilize across, the nation to try to get more awareness so people get out and vote for you.
Well, I appreciate that, but just to let you know, it's only less than 3 weeks left to the election on November 4th.
I know. And I just heard about this stuff literally like 2 days ago. And then I heard Too Much in a live saying he was going to have you on. So it's lining up. It's aligning.
And I appreciate that, but I'm more concerned about the long term after my election. Like, I don't know how long you got. I don't know how long you've been on the live, but when I came on and introduced myself, and articulating my enthusiasm for the FBA movement, I want to see us take it to the next level. I want to see us form a charter, get a 501c3 force so we can organize politically all over the country and have a unified message that we can promote constantly to promote, FBA and our status. That's what I would like to see happen. I think we need a more unified, organized organization that's marching to the same drum, that can promote the same message. And when people see organization and how many people across the country are with the FBA movement, it's going to be so much easier to get the disenfranchised black voter to want to be involved with FBA.
Thank you.
What do you guys think about that? That's actually a great idea. That's actually something that needs to be done, and we do need to get people mobilized and set up for something like that. And I don't know how quickly we can do it before your election, but the fact that you're saying
it won't happen before my election, but
right. But what you're saying after, I think it can definitely be done. I think we can get that buzz going. Monique, did you have any? I'm sure you do have more questions because you're there in the city. So go ahead. I'm gonna swing it back to Monique.
Can I say before you ask your question?
Go ahead.
I know I committed the 2 hours when we set this up, but I would hope that you guys have a little leniency on me. I had 2 debates today, or 2 candidate forums today, and I'm a little tired. It's almost 10 o'clock my time, and I'm kind of an old man, so I hope you guys don't mind if I don't stay the whole 2 hours.
Understandable. We're going to, of course.
Yeah, no problem, brother.
That's fine. Go ahead, Monique. I'm sure you have some more questions for him.
Here I heard his question. We know exactly what's going on with the politics, with the city council, the other candidates that are running.
You're breaking up a little bit, Monique. You're breaking up a little bit, and I think there's a lot of like some feedback, some background noise too. If you can maybe get to a quieter place or get to a better spot, so we can hear you, hear the question that you want to ask.
Well, I should do that if you don't mind. I could kind of jump in.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. First of all, thank you for having me up. This is Foundation American. This is my other page. I just the other page got suspended. But what I want to say is, first of all, thank you for coming up, brother. I definitely support someone that's talking tangibles for our community, not just giving us the runaround. So I definitely commend you for even having this conversation with us. Thank you so much. When it come down to it, I talked to a Somali brother. He hung around us a lot, and he talked about, some of these, like, I guess, loopholes. I think something when they was getting the stimulus package back in the day, stimulus. He told me that the Somalis were getting it, but not really the Black Americans wasn't getting it at that time over there. And so my concern is, not my concern, but I want to hope that these are the things that we look we look at in the future, right? Because there's a lot of loopholes for them. And if we can kind of tackle those, so it could be all of us can benefit, not just a one particular group, because I think that's been the kind of thing over there for the last, I don't know how long since they've been over there. So kind of keeping an eye out on there, on the kind of the loopholes and the different things. I don't want to say scams, because that sounds a little too harsh, but the loopholes that people been utilizing to kind of have an advantage and kind of disenfranchise, Black Americans there. Yeah, I'm gonna land on that.
Well, what I would say to that is, I have to go back to, we're talking about Minnesota, and if $432 billion in fraud in the last 5-6 years doesn't show you have a problem with corruption, I don't know what to say to that. So so as far as on the city level, like I said, I'm trying to be tough on crime, and I'm just not like street crime. That's white collar crime, and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm just not going to stand for it. And I'm going to set that standard from the bully pulpit. I'm going to deliver that message. Minneapolis has a $2 billion annual budget. The first thing I'm going to do is have an external forensic audit of the funds spent by Minneapolis in the last 10 years. Just to even know how much corruption or abuse or fraud has taken place. So the things that the city, I know you guys you're not from Minneapolis, so you don't know the context, the in-depth corruption. I have to use that word because that's the only word that you can describe it. When you have the indicted individuals from the Somali indicted individuals from the Feeding Our Future scandal maxing out on campaign contributions to our state attorney general, who on tape is recorded saying he's going to protect these businesses who are frauding the state. When you're up against something like that, I hear what you're saying, but what you're describing is like way on the extreme spectrum of corruption. I can't call it a scam. I can't call it a loophole. It's corruption. You feel me?
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. That's why I'm glad that you're going to kind of be keeping an eye on that, because that's been the thing that's been slipping under the cracks. From what I heard from talking to a lot of people in the area for a long time, and certain people have been kind of undermining the black Americans that's been there and taking their resources and making sure another group prosper and have exponential growth.
And the
So
sad part
I'm glad.
the sad part about that, our Attorney General of Minnesota is black.
Is he like a flat black? Is he one
Well,
of us?
I was
Or-
if I want to be technical, he identifies as black, but I'm sure he's mixed, like multi-ethnic. But he says he's black. He says he's black.
He says he's black. We got to get some lineage checks on him, man. We got to really do our due diligence on knowing who's really our people and who's trying to cosplay as our people, because I think that's our biggest problem. We think we're talking to us, so we would hope that nobody would try to take advantage of their lineage or advantage of their people. But the problem is we could say what's his name, but they're changing their names. These people are literally coming over here and changing their names to sound more American, or saying, they're not using their Nigerian name or their African name, and they're just.
Oh, I hear what you're saying, but let me give you a little context on our current Attorney General from Minnesota, and why I say he identified as black and why we call him black. Keith Ellison is a staple in the black community. He's an attorney. He made his career off of representing most of the young black men in Minneapolis who were convicted of some type of drug crime or something on that nature. So So he started, and when I was in high school, he had a radio show on a local black station called KMOJ called Black Power Perspectives, you know. But when he got elected to the U.S. Congress, he flipped. He went all straight, progressive, liberal, socialist, communist type policies. Where I went to a town hall meeting with him a few years ago when the illegal immigration was a big thing. Before, I think it might have been during Trump's first election cycle or first win, and he was talking to a room full of black people, trying to convince us on how much we need to support the dreamers and the illegal immigrants, coming to America for a better life. And that's insulting to me because I'm from here. He's from here, and I remember when I was in high school, I don't remember Democrats talking about free college for niggas, for black people, for black kids. You think we got a short memory? We don't remember being a teenager and people saying, go to college, take out loans, use your Pell Grant. They wasn't talking about this, just give poor black kids free college. So that's the type of representation we have from our so-called black leaders here.
Wow. And if you guys have any questions from the audience, just feel free to ask. I don't want to.
I have a question. Do you feel like the city in itself is corrupt to the point where they're all working together and they're letting these things go on because they're benefiting from it?
Yes.
And are you willing to try to shed light on this by taking it higher to another level, like federally?
Of course. Yes, I am. But of course I am. But I have to win to be able to do that. Because right now, every candidate except me is openly saying that they're going to fight the federal administration from deporting any illegal immigrant in Minneapolis or the state of Minnesota.
That's crazy. That's insane.
And I'm talking about, I'm not the only black candidate running for mayor. There's 3 other black candidates, and they all shared that position. We're fighting against Trump. We're not going to let him deport illegal immigrants. Our immigrant community. They don't even say illegal. They say our immigrant community.
Do you feel like you're the last hope or the only hope for the city right now?
Yes, I do. And everybody that votes for me and supports me here in Minneapolis feels the exact same way. They say no matter who wins, if Laverne doesn't win, it doesn't matter if it's 𝗥𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝘀𝗀, the current mayor. It doesn't matter if it's Omar Fateh, the Somali guy, and it doesn't matter about the other 2 top tier candidates who are black. If I don't win, this city is finished.
Wow.
I was gonna say, I know we've been tired of more of the same, and so bringing that difference is gonna obviously be the difference. Since I can't even remember who was married, there was anything different than what we've gone through. So we're just tired of more of the same, and like some of the key things is that it is a sanctuary city, and the old poverty pimps is what we call them. The people that are in position at the organizations that get money to help change. They are supposed to help change the community. They're not doing anything. So
the Urban League, the NAACP, they're all a part of the black activist class that supports all the Democrats' positions that hurt our community.
That's insane. You're right. You're absolutely right. We also have a question in there. They're asking how many FBAs are in Minnesota?
Well, it's about 26% black, but of course they do not separate. what black
Not yet.
exactly. And that was one of the
Not
things that
yet.
I'd
I
like to
know so.
see. I'd like to see actual true reporting when it comes to city reports on crime, housing, or what all the issues. If they are from the immigrant class, or are they foundational Black Americans, Indigenous Americans, Aboriginal Black Americans, and whatnot, and what have you. Um, let's have that. So that's true reporting, because a lot of the crimes get blamed on Black Americans. A lot of these issues
Let me
are
tell you.
blamed on Black Americans, and it's are are Black, and then
You're
there's
right. Let me give you one example of how right you are, Monique. You're from here. You remember that couple of weeks in a row where we had like 500 cars smashed in, and like in the North Loop in downtown Minneapolis. Remember that story, the news story?
yes,
You know who the actual smashers of those windows were? Somali teens. But
Mm.
you know what they're classified on the record?
Black.
Black,
Black.
I keep telling y'all that immigrants are really when you're talking about crime, right? Every ethnic group has a different criminality, so to speak. And I want everybody in here to know that since Ellis Island, since the YT immigrants who got their YT-ness, right? I'm talking about the Irish, I'm talking about the small hats, I'm talking about the Italians, I'm talking about the Polish, I'm talking about all of them who came in. One of the things that all these immigrant groups have in common is organized crime. They brought crime and scams with them to America. They were the first to delineate and set up enclaves for them and their people, pushing us out. They all started in Black neighborhoods. I hope you guys understand and know that. And now fast forward to the influx of melanated immigrants, right? They all start in our community and they start building these enclaves. And one of the things that they have in common, immigration, even Hispanics, let's keep it a buck, is they bring crime, they bring prostitution, they bring scams, they bring everything under the sun. And guess who gets blamed on it? Who is the scapegoat? I just talked about this yesterday. The scapegoat. Who is the scapegoat for all their sins? They put it on us, family.
I
That's just
mentioned
what.
earlier. You're right. I mentioned earlier in this conversation that I went to two debates tonight, or two forums tonight, and in both forums, when we talked about crime and fixing crime problem here in Minneapolis, why did every candidate always seem like they're referring to young Black youth? It was always about the youth in North Minneapolis and having a better there was nothing about it's all we already talked about crime is about having youth programs for North Side kids and underprivileged kids or high risk kids. All that is called for Black kids, and it disgusted me. I didn't get and with the way the forum was structured, we couldn't really challenge or question the other candidates' answer. But I really wanted to be like, how come every time we talk about crime, it's automatically directed towards young Black youth? Why does that always seem to be the scapegoat or the reason why there's crime?
Mm.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Since it happened to me twice tonight.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. We have to. That's why we're delineating. That's why we're asking for separation on the census and not to include us with them. We're asking for our we're asking for our own box, and we're asking for them to give them their own box, because even when we had our own box, guess what they did, family? They just said, I'm African American and I'm Black also. We're saying, no, you're not. We are foundational Black Americans. And the reason why we use that word foundational is because they can't co-opt that. They can't crowbar themselves into that. They can't check that checkbox because foundational Black American, it's talking about a specific lineage. If you're not a foundational Black American, you shouldn't be checking that box. And if you do check that box, we got people, listen, we got people working on ways to where they can get sued for misclassifying themselves, where they can get legally we can get them. So they're coming up with ways where they might even get some jail time and or fines behind misclassifying themselves. And
I support that, and that's one of the things that we can achieve if we do what I just said earlier about really organizing and getting that 501c4 political action committee status, so that we can advocate for that. Don't be, that's how we can get that accomplished, is organizing enough where we can say, hey, if you misclassify as this, you're not this, you're legally liable for that. That's how we get that accomplished.
I love it. Now I want to respect your time. I want to respect your time. I know you said you have to go. I want to thank you for coming out and talking with us. We definitely need to do this again. I think we can promote it bigger even next time. I think this was a great showing. I think you kind of eased a lot of people's minds. Listen, we're looking for candidates like yourself in every city. Let's keep it a buck. We're looking for foundational Black Americans to run and take over political office, political space, mayor on the local level, and then we'll build up to the state level, and then we'll build up to the national level. But one more question, man. How far are you willing to go with this? Whether you win or not, are you running again? And do you even have aspirations to go to the state level?
I appreciate the question, and to be honest with you, people. Hey, please. To be honest with you, I've had people recently just coming to me like, "Hey, Laverne, if you don't win mayor, are you going to run for mayor again? What do you plan on doing?" And I'll be honest with you. Right now, my mind is, if I don't win, I might not run again. But I've had people say, "Hey, why don't you think about running for U.S. Congress in 2026 and challenge Ilhan Omar, the female Somali congresswoman that supports and just endorsed the Somali mayoral candidate that I'm running against right now." So I've had people suggest or encourage me to run for U.S. Congress in 2026. And I've also have had people tell me, because in 2026 here in Minnesota, there's a statewide governor's race, and a lot of candidates have already declared. And I know one candidate in particular has courted the idea that he might invite me to be his running mate. But I haven't made any decision on none of that stuff.
Okay.
But I don't have to run again to promote FBA.
That's it.
I don't have to run. I don't have to be on the ballot for anything to advocate and promote FBA.
I love that answer. One more question. I know I said I was going to let you go. One more question, but I just brought up somebody. I don't know if you had a question or not, but if anybody else has a question for our mayoral candidate from Minneapolis, just one last question, and then we'll let him get some rest, go be with his family. Anybody have any other questions?
Okay, that Tyrone is on Teacup. So I don't have a question, and we are way past this, but what I did find out about Ellison is that his mother was born to a Spanish father. So his mother was a Martinez. So his his grandparents were Spanish. Now, Not saying that means anything, but when we ask the questions of people's lineage and where their sort of affinity lies, it is interesting that you will dig in and find that though they may be bi-ethnic, they may have some other loyalties there if they have a different background, if that makes sense.
That's interesting because I had no idea that 𝗖𝗄𝗏 had any Hispanic lineage.
He has very, very
He's
strong
never
Hispanic
he's
lineage.
never talked about that.
She was a Martinez, she was Celia Martinez Ellison, was Slida Martinez Ellison. Her father was Frank Martinez, and then his father was also a Martinez. He was a Spanish man who had a baby with, I think, a Creole woman, which is his mom, is like grandparents of his, right? But the thing is that apparently his grandfather was a civil rights activist, quote unquote, because he probably was folded into the Black community of Louisiana. But that Spanish blood is there. It's very strong and it's very recent. It's not like just like 2 generations. He's like 3rd generation or something like that. So
That explains a lot.
explains
That
a lot,
actually,
right?
that actually explains a lot.
And then they don't the thing is, we're so progressive now that, we got, for the most part, and I'm speaking very generally, but a lot of people got tricked with the Obamas and et cetera, right? So we're asking those deeper questions now. We're not just saying, you can't do this flat blackness with us. We're digging in and we're saying, okay, exactly what, exactly where, because we realize how much it's hurt us just thinking we're all one.
Right.
So.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, man? That says a lot, family. That says a lot, family. When you're coming down to when all you gotta do is listen and pay attention to people's talking points, and you can see you can listen and hear what they're consuming on television. You can listen and hear to where they're coming from, because a lot of these people, they're not going to tell you that they're bi-ethnic. They're just going to tell you that they're Black. And and listen, I'm all for bi-ethnic, Black, bi-ethnic, biracials, in the foundational Black American community. If you got at least one parent that's FBA, you are FBA. But we got to start questioning these dual allegiances. We got to start questioning these dual allegiances, because a lot of bi-ethnic people, they start sounding a little bit tethers. They start talking like, they start favoring anything. A lot of people grow up. I'll say like this with kids, right? A lot of kids grow up and they don't really want to be Black. They want to be somebody else. They want to be Belizean. They want to be Jamaican. They want to be African, because for some reason in their mind, being Black, you got to be strong. Being Black, you got to be able to handle the world coming against you. You got to be able to, handle the pressures of life. When you're African, when you're Jamaican, when you're Hispanic, it's like you have those issues, but not quite as much. So they favor those things, and it looks like they got more culture than us, when they really don't, because we are the culture. Everybody comes over here and assimilates to who? Black American culture. We don't assimilate to their culture.
Man, American culture is Black culture.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Everything. Gospel, rock and roll, hip hop, R&B, Motown, whatever you want to. We're sports fans, sports figure. We are American culture. Everything that's good about American culture.
That's it. What's that going on
What's
behind
going
you
on?
there,
This is my own critique of what 𝗖𝗏 and FBA and how it would work in the political field, because everything is back with dealing with Black Americans who are claiming to be foundational Black Americans. You have to claim Indian regardless, because it's backed by law and legal issues. So it has to be combined with the American Indian and enslaved in the U.S. legalese. So I put together a prompt to see how this would play out and what we should do in order to make this thing concrete whenever you're going to take this on the world stage, because they're going to try and hijack this as how they did with Juneteenth. And later on, many people within these political spectrums could probably hijack 𝗖𝗏, because you got a celebrity representing it, and we don't know what her allegiance are, because
her handlers could turn around and say, "Oh, you better say it's African," or
Boy,
like Ryan Coogler. He mentioned FBA at the premiere of when he was being interviewed for Sinners. He tried to make FBA into African only and tried to negate the Indian part. So I asked ChatGPT this: nail the legal identity you can defend, claim as American Indian by blood, and they already have it documented that the blood of the Southern Negro is unquestionably Indian, and that's from the 19 annual Bureau of American Ethnology. And enslaved in the U.S., indigenous people already were enslaved for the full 400-year ride. And we are those people that are claiming that were those indigenous people that went through the full 400 years of slavery. You don't see a Mongol style Native American vocalizing saying that, oh, I was put on a plantation and forced to go through a Mandingo party or something like that. They don't say that. They just say, oh, I just went through a boarding school. So it says you enslaved in U.S. 1526, 1865 lineages, and this is before the United States government. And why those are the two statutes that intersect with federal Indian law, probate, trust, land rights, treaty entitlements, and state federal reparations discussions. 𝗤𝗏, 𝗖𝗏, and FBA are not legal classes because they're not backed by like, you know what Obama did by erasing Oriental, Negro, and Indian from the censuses, because they want to make us into like African American, or now they're pushing sub-Saharan African and pushing this African diaspora stuff. So built a litigation ready pedigree document DNA, which I'm not talking about the patriclan and matriclan stuff. I'm talking about the autosomal part that puts you to relatives that's within the 8 to 6 generations. They're classifying that as quote unquote African diaspora, but we can change that name to 𝗖𝗏. You can change it to FBA or Black American lineage within the Americas if you want to include your CARICOM brothers and sisters, because they have FBA lineage.
You know what? Ancestry.com already does that. I've looked on that, and
yeah, they do.
They already kind of have. We already have our classification in the South and in the North. So yeah, go ahead. I'm rocking with you. Go ahead.
So the vital records, birth, marriage, death certificates, because people got to source up what they paper genealogy, because you can't just go off vibes. We got to pull up our Black slave owners. You got to pull up your people that went through chattel slavery. You got to pull up your free Blacks that weren't enslaved at all, that up in the North or in the South, because you have those families. You got the Southern Claims Commission. You got the Dawes rolls, Henderson rolls, and Gwian Miller rolls, which gives out specific family names.
I'm going to drop you down.
You got manumissions bills, bill of sales, state investries, guardianship files, probate records, county court minutes, tax list, deed books, looks for people listed in as property, transfers, hires, church registers, baptismal records, marriage certificates, burial unalignment records, especially in Catholic, Spanish, French, parishes or old primitive churches that our families were at, Freedmen's Bureau and Freedmen's Bank, labor contracts, rations, marriages, and the bank cards, Indian materials. And you can find all of this at a registry of vital statistics or History and Archive Center in your local state, government area, where you can actually ask some of our people that already linked up with these things and got their tangibles, and you can reach out to them to help you pay them or do it yourself on your own time, because literally these places allow people to walk in there for free. All you gotta do is, and you don't pay an arm and a leg just to do your own personal genealogy. Actually, it's pretty much cheap and affordable to do so. To like get your own binder, go on their little computer, put in like your family's surnames and stuff like that, and they'll provide for you records and deeds that take you way past the 1870s census. So people will not be able to be stuck at that 1800 period, because we have family member out there. You can take a autosomal test from Ancestry or 23andMe and link up to long lost relatives or long distance relatives that'll probably put you in the perspective of where you want to go. Now I yield right there because I got other slides I want to show, so I don't want to hog the panel.
Okay, very well. Listen, I hear some of the things you're saying. I can rock with. You know, but you know, when we're talking about classifying ourselves as FBA, I think FBA is more of a lineage term. That's kind of how we relate to each other. You know, some of us are trying to get that put on the census record, and that's cool too. I'm okay with that too as well. But we also classify ourselves as freedmen. Freedmen covers that as well too. Freedmen is a classification that we do have that can go all the way to the government level. So when it comes to paperwork, we know that we know to say freedmen. If you're part of FBA, you kind of understand that FBA and freedmen are synonymous. FBA, Sulan, Black American, that's just family. That's just what we call when we're talking with the family. Right.
But what about the Indian part? Because we all say we got Indian in the family, but y'all don't claim the specific tribe or research.
Right. I've done my genealogy. You know, I go back to right now 1790 on both sides of my parents. You know, I have no African ancestry at all. I haven't even found a white person. You know, I probably got to go back a little further, and maybe they'll start popping up then, because I'm only in 1790. But a lot of us are understanding that we have indigenous roots, and if you are connected to a tribe, I think you should include it. I think you should claim it. I think if you have tribal records, like I have a Cherokee and Blackfoot in my family, you know. So I think by not claiming that, that's crazy, because especially if you got land attached to that you can go get that, you know. And
have you researched the Blackfeet? Because many of people say Blackfoot, and most people would assume it's 𝗖𝗂𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗁 his𝘁𝗂𝗂𝗁, but it's relating to communities within the Carolinas and Virginia, who would be Lumbee, Cherokee, Tuscarora, and stuff like that. So
I haven't done that research, but I'm gonna take your word for it, because I kind of heard something like that already. So you know, I understand that a lot of these tribes, that wasn't their original. That wasn't what they were calling themselves. You know, even Cherokee is called 𝗖𝗁𝗁. You know, so it's like
Aniawiya, you got the 𝗖𝗂𝗁𝗁 and 𝗖𝗁𝗁𝗁.
Okay, so we understand that the Creek Indians, they weren't calling themselves the Creek Indians. That's just what somebody said. Hey man, these are the Indians by the creek, so they must be Creek Indian. Seminole Indian, that just means runaway slave. You know, so we understand that, but what I am saying is that we recognize our indigenous heritage to this land. We know, and a lot of us are waking up and finding out that we are indigenous to this land. Some of us don't even have African ancestry. We are really from here. Now, if they want to say, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, we migrated out of Africa, maybe. But if you go back, I mean, just common sense. If you just use common sense, if you don't have a living relative that comes from Africa alive today, you're not from Africa. Most Native Americans, even those quote unquote, some of them call themselves indigenous Hispanics, they got ancestors that live right there in Central America and Mexico that puts them right there and lets them know that they don't come from the United States.
And guess what? Them Hispanic Latino people, when they take the DNA test, and this the kicker part, because we only receive a tiny percentage of the West Central African population, being like 221,000, or they say 388,000. But dealing with South America, Mesoamerica, Central America, and the Caribbean, that's where the bulk of the transatlantic slave trade went. So when they say a tiny percentage, we got a tiny percentage of American DNA with Indians, they're saying that they have not tested the United States tribes. They will not volunteer their saliva or skeletal remains to be held to our genetics because they're trying to promote this African diaspora, African slave only story, right?
Yeah, and
And
you
so we're
tell
just
them where
dealing with
you tell them where you come from. They ask you right there. I've taken the DNA. They ask you right there on the DNA test. Where do you think you came from? And the moment you say Africa, guess where they gonna put you? They gonna put you
no,
somewhere.
it's anonymous actually. You don't even have to put your name up there. With Hispanics and Latinos, here's the tricky part because that's where the bulk of the Africans went. So a lot of these mestizos, they have recent post-bellum West Central African relatives. We do not. Our African ancestors allegedly would be all the way back in the colonial and antebellum period, and they would have been mixed out by other indigenous tribes that went through slavery, which they have not collected those bones.
Right, and let's say this too. Think about this, family. The way they're trying to go back and say you come from Nigeria. Nigeria wasn't around till 1960. Cameroon wasn't around till 1960. Benin wasn't around till 19. All these are newly created countries. And how can they say you are Nigerian when there was no such thing as a Nigeria? Matter of fact, if you had ancestry from over there, they weren't even called Africans because
they didn't even collect the DNA of those bones from that period. Actually, they only got living spit. So when they're talking about the Indians, we got a tiny percentage of them. That means we got mostly ancestors that are Indians within the post-bellum period. In the dealing with us with our African DNA, that would have been lost through recombination because they were breeding new slaves.
90,000 Africans came to the United States, family. The rest of them were in the Caribbean and
maybe
elsewhere.
even less. Maybe even less than 90,000.
Yeah.
I seen a video with two white girls took the DNA test, two sisters. I don't know if they were twins or not. How about their results came back with different ethnicities, and it was sisters.
Everybody gets that. Siblings. With mine's, for example, I took in Ancestry and 23andMe.
Them shits are precise.
My brother and my mother got Caribbean, and we don't know any Caribbean relatives within our genealogy. On the autosomal African diaspora portion of the test, my brother got more indigenous American markers than me, but me and my sister, we got mostly the Asian part that comes from my father's grandmother's father's side. And my brother did not get a large amount of that Chinese stuff in him. Only me and my sister. And my father got with his indigenous marker, he got Iroquoian, and I got some shit from the Yucatan. So it's not accurate. You only get based on your unique structure, you get a different result from each of your grandparents, parents, or whatever. It's like a puzzle. You say, for example, for a little kid to understand, you get one piece of candy from your mama, you get another type of piece of candy from your father, and each parent that goes back, they hand you down a certain piece of candy, but you don't receive a piece of candy from a certain ancestor on one of the branches. You get what I'm following with the analogy?
No, I get it.
Yeah. I think we both agree that they're not accurate and they can't be trusted. And it doesn't mean that Black Americans in America came from Africa or are descendants of Africans. That's my point.
Right. And my thing is, some of us are, and a lot of us aren't.
I said all.
The biggest slave trade happened right here in the United States from 1809 to 1865. They were not grabbing nobody from Africa. They had already outlawed slavery in the British Isles, which made it difficult for us to bring people over here. They had stopped.
It was outlawed way before that, before Indian removal in 1807.
Yeah, she need to come on up.
And they allegedly said that they brought in an extra after 1808 but
Listen,
we don't really have that verifiable
just
information.
figure out the boat ride. Just figure out the boat situation. They're talking about they were stacking Africans on top of each other and taking
Like
them
dominoes. Like
9 months,
dominoes. For 6 months ride.
6 to 9
No
months to
food.
get here, and they were feeding them
Come on,
what?
man.
Barely. Common sense would just have to kick in, man, at some point. And all those boats, where they at? All those boats, where are they at? If
You can't
where
find
are
They
one.
they
ain't
You
now,
can't
hop in
family?
find
no
one.
sub like James Cameron to go find
Right.
none of
They
that.
You
couldn't
can't
just
find one.
disappear. They didn't just disappear. Where are these
Yo,
boats at? These slave. We should have. We should have in a museum. This was the boat that brought all the slaves over. We should have some. There should be some type
too
of
much.
proof like that.
Too much. If you a
And we
business,
know the habits of YTs because
too
they love
much.
preserving they
Their
racist
history.
memorabilia.
They love preserving their history. They love
You go
showing.
to one of these curio shops or antique shops or garage sales or old, one of these triple K people unaliving one of their ancestors or one of these antique investor sales or the estate sales people. They go up in these people's houses and sell they racist memorabilia like Aunt Jemima stuff from Disney World. They got Klan robes. They got all types of anti-black memorabilia. I got a Klan robe off a person out here in Gastonia,
Hey, too much as
and
a
they charge
businessman.
like an arm and a leg to get a hold of them. And people from Germany and stuff comes out here and purchase these things, and it was like used as a prop in like that movie Burden, and also it was used to be like the redneck shop out in South Carolina. It was shut down for like 2009, I believe. But yeah, they be renting out these racist memorabilia, but you can't find not one slave ship. They make all types of excuses saying, "Oh, we rebuild it with a plantation house."
And
Okay,
they had to be big too. So as a businessman, you've taken property from the continent of Africa, well, whatever it was called back then. You're not gonna go to Brazil first and get your bread. You're gonna risk losing money coming all the way over to the Americas. You're just gonna bypass Brazil and bypass all those places over there and come to America.
Yeah,
It
and
makes
and
no
and a lot of the
sense.
slave trade also you got to include Brazil. A lot of the slave trade came. A lot of black people came out of Brazil, man. We can't. We got proof on that. So
The
they
second
they
largest
may have
population of
said,
black people on the planet
yeah,
is Brazil.
yeah, they may have said, hey, they came from Africa, but they probably came from Brazil. Okay, and let's just say this, family. Listen, like I said, I don't shy away from saying that we are indigenous and that we have some African ancestry. I don't shy away from that. I accept our indigenous community, but I'm a foundational Black American. We're all one. We had an ethnogenesis in this country. We became something new. We became something unique. We became some. We're the most, to me, in my mind, we're the most powerful people on the planet. Nobody has the innovation, the genius. They have to piggyback off of our genius. That's what they do. They listen, family. If you watch the movie the Godfather of Harlem, and you saw how what Bumpy Johnson was going through, just trying to break away from the mafia and do his own thing. Listen, that's our relationship with the dominant society. They are never going to leave us alone. They're never going to allow us, right, to do anything on our own because they need us. But they don't ever want to say that they need us. They rather just bully us and spread lies and propaganda and fear mongering to keep us where we're at. But we got the power now, family. Listen, they can't stop us. They can only hope to contain us, but they can't stop us. We have
Yo, too
broken
much.
free. Go ahead.
Too much. The 1790 census. I think that's the first one ever done. Why didn't it have any classifications for African? Why does it only have white, black, and mulatto?
Well, no, they did. So these are the three classifications that they had.
White,
And
black,
y'all
and
can look
mulatto.
this up. Y'all know. I'm gonna tell you right now. You can y'all can look this up. Y'all can do
I
y'all
did. I
scholars. Matter of
seen it.
fact, I'll bring up Wolfie one day and she'll show you. I think she has the actual document. There was the American Negro,
It was
There
only
was
3.
there was the
No, before it was
It
just
was
2.
3.
no
I
hold on
saw
hold
it
on
today.
hold on. Let me get it out, and then y'all can talk about it. There was the American Negro. Now, interesting that they say the American Negro. There was the African Negro. They had these actual and they had the job titles, family. They had the American Negro, the African Negro, and then they had the American Creole. Those were the 3 classifications that they first started out with. What changed?
All right. So the early census says free black, free white, enslaved white, and enslaved black. Over time, like dealing with the U.S. Census, they changed it to like meaning white and black. But nearing the Civil War, they started bringing up mulatto and quadroon, tresseroon, and all this other roons, and then they took all the mulattoes and the tresseroons and all this other stuff away and put American Indian on the census to mean people of red mongoloid hue, and started making Negroes sound like African.
Forget the census real quick. I just want y'all to look at the slave ledgers. On the
The
slave
slave ledgers.
they had American Negro. Why would they have to say American? Why wouldn't they say Africa? They had African Negro. Think about it. Why would you have to say African Negro and then American Negro and then American Creole and then have the list of jobs and how much each one was worth? Did y'all know that the American Negro was worth more than the African Negro? The American Negro, and they listed his skills. He could build, he could cook, he could ride. They listed the skill. They called him Pullman. No, not Pullman. Porter. What was the other one? I wish Wolfie was here. I would make her bring up the document and show you.
I know what you're talking about, because it literally says on the ledgers that American Negroes were actually cheaper. They didn't have like insurance. It was Africans that were expensive and had insurance. That's why they rarely brought them in. You had
the one I saw. The African Negro was worth a little bit, and the American Negro was worth a whole lot. And when they listed the skills that the American Negro had,
the reason why they had like Africans as expensive is because it was expensive to go get them, and also their life expectancy, because they wouldn't have been able to survive that.
I'm gonna make Wolfie send me that document, and I'm gonna bring it up here and show y'all, so y'all don't think I'm just making this up. But
I guess the New York.
I know you're not making it
mistake.
up. It's just that historically you had documents where they were over here selling Indians for cheap, and they charged
that might be so.
prices.
I might have looked at it wrong, but they
But when you say Indians, who are you talking about?
So they're talking about the indigenous people that they were already classifying as Negro within these the 13 colonies, because Negro back in the day, it had nothing to do with Africa. They later changed it to mean African by the late antebellum.
Actually, they did call all of Africa Negro land. It was
that was in a particular time frame that they took away, because the Negro land that was only applied to the 1742 map, but they initially used
before
Negro.
They called us that though. Before
they
we
initially
were called
in the Portuguese usage to the Spaniards, the English and the Dutch usage in early colonial America from 1500s all the way going into the Revolutionary War, they used Negro as a status of being enslaved. It had nothing to do with Africa. When they started to narrow it down to mean Africa was in the late 1800s, which was the 1870 census. That's when they did all the F shit by making Native Americans a distinct American Indian class and trying to push freedmen and already chattel slave Negroes as this category of meaning African.
So maybe some of the censuses were different, but the one I saw that the New York Times had a copy of, it only had 3 designations: white, black, and mulatto. That was it. And they're claiming that was the first census ever done in America.
The first census was the 1790 census.
Yeah, that's what I had said.
Yeah, that might have been the 1790s, because
that's what I said.
Here's the thing. The 1828 Webster's Dictionary It says the definition of what an American was. Copper-colored aboriginals found here by Europeans.
That was my other point I was going to bring up too. Because why go by FBA when you can revitalize what the original definition of American meant and own it?
So let me specify. If FBA is codified, that's why. That's the reason why we use it. Nobody can anchor themselves and crowbar into FBA. They can't. They can crowbar into copper colored. You got Caribbeans out here. I'm Tawano Indian. I'm Arawat. I'm this. I'm that. But they're not from the United States. They're from the islands. They will crowbar themselves in here and say, "Well, you got." This is crazy. When we say American Indians, everybody knows we're talking about the United States. But you got even Africans coming in talking about, "Well, I'm an American Indian. I got some lineage here too." It's crazy. The reason why we use FBA is because it's codified language.
It allowed us to gatekeep. We can gatekeep.
We can gatekeep.
With the gatekeeping thing, that's when you got the probate records, you got land deeds.
Even Solon is supposed to be gatekeep, but unfortunately, when you do have, that's why I agree with you. When you do have celebrities who do have handlers, and they make them listen. You think she could decide what flag was going to be in her video? No, she can't. She can't decide how her video is going to be. They use that as an opportunity to confuse and confound the people. They had Haitians out here thinking they were Solon. You see what they did? They did that on purpose. All those symbols you see in these videos. I want you to understand the rappers and the entertainers may not know anything about those symbols, but they're put in the video what? To control and dominate us. I tell you all the time.
Look at Sierra, man. Look at Sierra.
Yeah. See it, man. Man.
She got nationality in where, Kenya or some shit or
I think it's Benin or something like that.
Benin. That's right, Benin. Like, what the hell is that shit?
From my perspective, in the legal perspective, not just my bias on, I'm just saying this, but legally, there is no like you crowbarring into our lineage based off of the records alone, because if you're dealing in probate records, land deeds, certificates and all that, and heck, even your own indigenous sovereignty claim and treaties.
That's why it's important to get your genealogy is going to tell you where you come from. We're just saying out in the open spaces, instead of just saying Black American, because guess what? When you say Black American, that's
fine.
When you say African,
I heard a Nigerian girl say she was Black American.
They start talking about
when we're going on a legal stage, we gotta use the proper language.
If you say American Indian, guess what? You're gonna have all of South America, the Caribbeans, all of them saying, "Well, I'm an American Indian too." But when you say foundation,
with American Indian, that's a fixed term to the United States because you got to be a federally recognized. That's why Native Americans from South America can't come in and say I'm American Indian.
I hear what you're saying,
because you have to be fed recognized to these tribes here in the United States. You're gonna have some Puerto
Ricans say I'm an American Indian too. Even the word indigenous is like we can't even use.
They can say that, but look how they get deported.
They're going to say, exactly, but they're going to say, I'm indigenous also. So how we fix that is we know when we put that F in front of that B and that A, they can't crowbar that. They can't crowbar
I get you with that, but that's a movement. Legally, Hispanic, hold on.
Listen, we are allowed to call ourselves, we are allowed to classify and call our lineage whatever we as the people decide to call ourselves. And we have come together and got on code and said we are foundational Black Americans. Yes, Tariq helped us coin the phrase, but it actually came from Dr. Claude Anderson, who was calling us Native Black Americans. And even if we said Native Black, just by using the word Native, then you got a whole bunch of, then that opened up a whole other thing. Even copper colored, because now you're going to have, I'm copper colored. They're going to start doing the paper bag test. Well, I'm copper colored. We just alleviated that, and we said foundational Black American, or the legal term would be freedmen.
The
Those are the
legal
two
term
things.
is both freedman and American Indian. And you wanna know
Freedmen,
why? It's
brother,
because it's tied
I hear
to
you,
like
brother. I hear,
treaties.
brother, I hear you. But I'm saying we got to get our people on code first. All those conversations between black or Indian, we, you know, you gonna ride for your side, I'm gonna ride for my side. But as long as we know we the same people, that's enough. We got to get on code first. We got to get our people on code to one thing, and how we can gatekeep and really gatekeep and keep people out is foundational Black American. Until
And
we
what
have a closed
treaties?
door meeting, and talk about it and powwow it out and really nail down and fine tune what we really gonna be call ourselves. This is who we are. This
The
is who we
treaties
are.
weren't really
Now
meaning
I would
shit.
say to
The
that
treaties
you would
really
have
don't
to
mean
hold
nothing because
that
we
in
had to
like
sue. We had to
a
sue to get
private
back
conversation
into some of
because we
these.
can't just be dispersing information like that online.
We had to sue to get
Um,
into some of these tribes, didn't we?
if you wanted to code up, we would have had to have a private secret language or whatever.
A lot of
Which
people did.
we
See,
live
here's
in the
the thing.
digital age now, but
But here's the thing. We already have done that. Maybe you just weren't at the meeting, but we already come to a consensus, and we're saying this is who we are. Now we know has everybody grasped onto it? No. But eventually you will, because it just makes sense, man. We're getting on code. The first thing we got to do is get on code. The code is the leader. We don't have leaders. The code is, we got to get codified with our messaging. We got to get codified with our people so we know how to move. That's one of the and let me segue into this because I'm about to end the
yeah.
live in a minute to this. But let me segue into this. That's the reason why we have the FBA coin. We need our own currency, and it's for our American Indian brothers and sisters. As long as you can go back to at least the 1870 census, this is the currency for you. We want to be the currency for all our people, and we are building an ecosystem, lineage verified ecosystem, by the way. So if you're a business in our ecosystem, you got to get your lineage verified, and it has to go at least back to the 1870. I'm already verified. If y'all see, I'm not even gonna tell you anything else, but I'm already verified. My lineage goes back to 1790. We have a genealogist that we're working with, an organization that's been around since 2020 that is getting all our people lineage verified, and all the people in what they call the ecosystem is linked. So we got like over 1,000 people already lineage verified and approved, and they have businesses that we can be doing business with right now. That's important to know who you spending your money with, because we don't have to spend our money with everybody else. We can reserve our dollars for our community, just like they do. And we should be doing that. Remember, we didn't delineate. They delineated first. We're now delineating, but we didn't start this delineation game. They came over here with their tribalness. They came over here with their delineation, and they brought it to us. They start talking smack about us before we ever start noticing them. The moment we noticed that they were talking smack about us, it's like, oh no, they didn't. They done messed up now, because now we got, y'all talking in them clubhouse rooms and talking in them Twitter rooms and then bringing it over here to TikTok. We done heard y'all, and we can never unhear that. So now we know what you really think. So don't get mad that we're taking our stuff back with us that you were benefiting off of, because that's what we're doing. We're just taking our stuff back, and then we're putting it behind the gate, and then we're locking the gate and saying you cannot pass here anymore. You cannot access this. You used to be able to access this, but now it's denied. Now we're taking our stuff back. And if we really want to be petty, man, we could take back our light bulb that y'all use, all our many inventions that come with being a foundational Black American in this country. We can just take that, and we can take back our George Washington Carver. You understand what I'm saying? We can take back our Floyd Pattersons. We can take back our real McCoys. We can take everything back that we can take back our genre of music, because we invented it. So if the name of the game is delineation, we're gonna win at the delineation game because we got all the stuff with us.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to, again, if you guys don't know, we have our own cryptocurrency. We're going to be launching it here real soon. We're actually raising money right now for the LP. We have some NFTs that we're giving out to our people that you can purchase and help us seed the LP. Go to FBAcoin.org. Join us in the Telegram because that's where we can talk about more. And again, it's for all our people. I don't care if if you're still calling yourself African American, but you're of the lineage, this is for you. If you're calling yourself a Hebrew Israelite, guess what? If you're of the lineage, this is for you. If you're calling yourself an American Indian, indigenous black, copper colored nation, this is for you. But especially if you're FBA and you're tied to the lineage, this is for you. We're building.
Yeah, I have to make a reminder. Didn't Malcolm X said, "I don't care if you're a elk, a Mason, a Pan African, or a Nation of Islam. You all got to come together." Didn't he say that?
Well, yeah. Listen, even if you're a Pan African, and that don't serve us, but my
It
thing,
don't.
if
I
you're
don't like
of the
Pan
lineage-
Africanism either.
If you're of the lineage, that's all I care about. Are you of? Can you
Yeah.
tie your lineage at least back to the 1870 census? Guess what? We're building an ecosystem. Come over here and help us build. Come over, get this coin. Build our community up. We got a lot of things. But like I can't tell y'all everything here. But if you come into the Telegram, that's where I can talk plain and simple and keep it straight with you. You know, I don't dodge questions. I don't hide. You know, I'm if you go to the website, my full name is on that website. I'm not afraid about being doxxed. You know, I don't worry about that. You know, I'm standing on lineage business. I'm standing for our people, and I really care about us, and I really want to see us on top. I want to see us. The name of the game. If I have a dream, we got I have a dream 2.0. The I have a dream 2.0 says we want to be sovereign. I don't want to hold hands with the dominant society no more. I don't want to skip down with the Asian kids, you know, skip to my Lou and all. I don't want to blend in and become African and go build up another continent that I'm not even from. I want to be a unique lineage here, and I want
In
to
my
be
own land.
in my,
In my
right,
own land.
in my own land, right? I want to be sovereign in my own land, and I'm doing it using the blockchain. I want to rebuild Black Wall Street and create Black Wall Street 2.0, the one that they can't BOMB or burn down, the one they can't tear down. I want to build everything on the blockchain. I want to have treaties when we're dealing with other groups of people. I think we need to be using treaties. If we're
Trade
gonna
languages.
yeah, treaty language, everything. If we're going to do business with Africans, if we're going to do business with Caribbeans, there needs to be a treaty. You need to know how to treat us. We need to know how to treat you, and you need to follow the guidelines. And if you don't follow the guidelines, there need to be consequences. That's what I believe.
Another thing is you're gonna need a treasury. You're gonna need a council.
Yeah. We have a treasury. We have a DAO council with the FBA coin. We even have an FBA constitution attached to the currency. And shout out to our brother crypto because he taught us so eloquently in his live that crypto is not a currency. That's the scam. Crypto is a digital property. So if you look at crypto as digital property, you'll understand how this coin is going to be used in our ecosystem and the utility that comes with this token.
Digital asset looked at as property.
So who do we vote for within our own?
But to help the people really understand when you look at crypto as if you look at the FBA coin as a digital property, it'll start to make more sense. If you look at it like a currency, you'll kind of get lost in the sauce. Even if you say digital asset, you probably won't even, but when you say digital property, that's just stronger. And you understand that there's a lot of things you can do with digital property, with property, period.
I got one more thing to say. Who would we vote for or get like that would be on our own council? Like a trusted member or whatever. If the whole community can rock with and follow behind.
If you're part of the DAO council, one of the things you do is you got to be lineage verified. You cannot be a part of our DAO. You cannot be a part of the DAO council of the cryptocurrency of the FBA coin without being lineage verified. And yes, there is a process that you have to go through to become part of the DAO. Right now, we have about 4 active members in the DAO right now. and we are reserving. We have about maybe 3 to 5 more seats, or 3 to 6 more seats possibly reserved for the Dow Council, and it's a slow process because we got to find the right people. It's not like, oh man, you have the lineage, you belong on the Dow. No, 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 no. It's you have to bring something to the table. You have to be a trusted. You have to be someone that we trust, someone that we know, and someone that is bringing value to what we're trying to build. And even with the Dow, we are attaching a think tank also to the Dow. So even the think tank, we need thought leaders, we need lawyers, we need business entrepreneurs, we need activists, we need people who understand crypto and finances and banking and trust and things like that. But we need people to come together to solve our problems. One thing we've never had that every other ethnic group or community has is the dominant society. They do things. The reason why they're able to run circles around us sometimes is because they have a think tank and they have money.
What
Think
about
tank and
defense
they have
league,
money.
like self defense or people that's
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
warfare?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We need that too. We're actually working. Well, I don't want to spill the beans, but we got people working on. I'll say it like this. This is what I can say. Okay, this is what I can say because I don't want to say everything on here. You got to come to Telegram. But I'll say this. Um, what's the Kaepernick? Kaepernick is doing this. Okay, but we're heavily looking into something like this. But Kaepernick is doing this right now. Okay, if there is a Black American unaliving, especially a questionable one, did you know, family, that you have access to free second autopsies? You know how people come in. You know how that hanging happened on the college ground, and they try to label it a suicide.
Deacons of Defense, or a new Panther Party that's not associated with the ones that's
They have
already
they
corrupt.
are
You know,
Kaepernick is paying for investigate for autopsies. So if you want a second autopsy on one of your family members that were unalive in a mysterious way that couldn't be real, couldn't be far from the truth, Kaepernick I forgot what the name of his association is called. I'll find that name and bring it to the family. Is working on it, or is not working on it. He's doing it. He's doing autopsies for free, and he's paying for it. And he's finding out that a lot of times he's the first one to do the autopsy. They're telling you they did an autopsy, but they've never even done the autopsy. And what they're finding out is the coroner is actually the sheriff, or the coroner is so clicked in with the police department and the sheriff's department that everything it's compromised, family. It's just compromised. They can just lie, and all you gotta do is not investigate, and then you believe it. So when they go in and do their second autopsy, now you get some closure, and you know the truth, and then you just get the lawyer. You got to get your lawyer team, your legal team together, and then you go in there and you fight and you expose the corruption that's going on. A lot of corruption in the police force, family. A lot of corruption is going on at the coroner's office. You can't take them at their word. And we feel as FBAs and as the FBA coin that we need something like that for our people. We need a way to investigate the investigator. We need a way to do our own autopsies, our own investigations for our people, and figure and solve our own damn crimes. Because if we let the YT man do it, we let the dominant society do it, they don't care about us to solve our problem. They don't care to look for our missing children. They don't care to solve our unalivings, but we do. So it's time that we put something in place to do that. And I believe in defense. Okay, we have to be able to police our own neighborhoods. One of the workarounds that we're finding out and we're learning is something called incorporated cities. Incorporated cities is not connected to the state or the federal government. It's self-funded, and we can have our own police department, our own fire department. We can start building our own hospitals, and You know, we already have people in our community who are working off the grid. We just talked to a gentleman not too long ago. Brother is in the middle of nowhere in Mobile, Alabama, sitting on 4 acres, and he got Wi-Fi. He got solar panels and solar batteries connected. I mean, the brother got is fully electric and got Wi-Fi. He got a fish farm, what do you call it, a catfish farm. He got animals. He's just looking for people to come over there. He's not even charging. He's saying, listen, man, I got tiny homes set up all around the camp. You could stay in them. All you got to do is help me build this city, build this town. So we're doing things like that. We're talking about creating an infrastructure and an ecosystem for our community, but we're also talking about doing some real. I'm getting real creative, family, because I want to get away from these. I want to get away from the dominant society. Period. Not that I don't like YT people, because I think YT people are nice people, but let's be real. They're not all of them, but they're here to the system is here to harm us. So my thing is this, family. I want to get so sophisticated and so sci-fi with it. I think we need our own floating island. I think we need to put a dome around our neighborhood so they can't BOMB us. You know what I'm saying? And we can do that ourselves. That's what I'm saying. It actually can be done, and we can be the first to do it. And we got more of a reason than anybody else or any other country to do it, because everybody bothers us. We don't bother them. We don't have a history of conquering nobody. We don't have a history of going around enslaving people. We don't got a history of imposing our will on others. But we got a history of them doing it to us.
Yeah.
So we have to protect ourselves at all costs, and that's where I'm at with it.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm gonna let you rock out, bro. You have a good evening.
Yes, sir.
Keep
Thanks
teaching
for showing
people.
up.
I'll probably show up the next panel, bro.
All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Yeah, peace. Hey, Monique, you have any last words you want to say real quick, Monique? You there, Monique? Okay, I'm gonna do it like this, family. Hey, peace, love, reparations, and the blockchain. See you guys tomorrow. Take care.